Let's have a look at the day's business news. The top business news, of course. Brian Quinn is with us. He's starting in France. The country's annual summit is happening, isn't it, Brian? This is aimed at encouraging foreign investment into business ventures.
Aptly called Choose France, Stuart, a relatively straightforward marquee for the summit now in its 7th year. It was launched by President Emmanuel Macron in 2018, part of his bid to rebuild the country's industrial base and make France a key financial hub for the EU in the wake of Brexit. This year is expected to be the summit's biggest yet, at least in monetary terms. 2018 saw the announcement of just 11 projects worth around 2.1 billion euros. This year, some 56 projects worth an estimated 15 billion are expected. Among those, a 1.2 billion euro investment from Amazon to build up logistics and boost AI cloud computing power that should bring some 3,000 jobs. Microsoft, meanwhile, is set to invest 4 billion, largely also into AI capacities, with Macron set to visit the company's headquarters in just a little while this morning to celebrate the announcement. Semiconductors, though, aren't the only chips drawing investment. Canadian agri-food giant McCain is spending $350 million to upgrade its French fry production facility in northeastern France. Take a listen.
We've chosen France in part because it's our biggest European market. One of every 3 frozen fries sold in the country is produced in our facilities. And from these facilities, we export roughly half of our production to other European countries.
Now, Brian, the summit comes, doesn't it, at a time when the level of foreign investment into Europe is causing some concern?
It is, Stuart. Every year, accounting giant EY releases the results of what it calls its European Attractiveness Survey. This year, they were sounding the alarm as results for 2023 showed the first decline of foreign direct investment into the continent in 3 years. France managed to come out on top with 1,194 new projects. That figure, though, marking a 5% drop from 2022. The UK in second place with 985 projects, a 6% increase. Germany, meanwhile, with a 12% drop. At issue, energy prices and a sharp increase in regulations on the EU level, particularly with regards to emissions disclosure and digital privacy. Now, France relies on foreign investment to power some 16,000 companies, representing around 2.2 million jobs and 1/5 of total economic output. Here's Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire on that.
That's what the stability of the economic policy we've been pursuing with the president for 7 years is all about. Attracting investment, generating activity in all our regions, moving closer to full employment, and meeting a strategic objective: France becoming a great manufacturing nation once more. For years, we've been a nation of consumers, but we must return to being a nation of great industrial and agricultural production.
Bruno Le Maire there. Well, let's check in then, Brian, on the day's trading action.
So Asian indexes mixed on Monday. The Nikkei in Tokyo losing 0.25% as the Bank of Japan trims its bond buying program. Chinese indexes seesawing as Beijing launches a $140 billion debt sale aimed at funding a stimulus plan for the country's struggling economy. Deflationary pressure remaining an issue in China as the latest data shows a 2.5% drop in the producer price index there. Here in Europe, meanwhile, major indexes opening fairly flat as investors look ahead to new inflation data due out in the U.S. later this week. Last week's weak jobs report raising hopes that the Fed won't be compelled to raise rates once again this year after a series of hotter than expected inflation readings.
Now, finally for business, more disruption at Tesla's European factory as protesters mounted a pretty spectacular attempt there to storm the facility over the weekend.
So hundreds of environmental activists broke through police lines at Tesla's Gigafactory outside Berlin on Saturday. They're trying to stop the company's plan to double the size of the plant, which would require the razing of some 100 hectares of nearby forest. Camille Knight has the details.
An army of blue caps charges through the forest. They're attempting to storm the Tesla factory near Berlin. Police try to disperse them. Hundreds of climate protesters showed up on Friday and Saturday to demonstrate against the expansion of the electric car giant's only European plant.
All of us are here today to say the Tesla plant must not be expanded.
The people who live here are losing their livelihoods because they will no longer have drinking water, and the quality of their drinking water is deteriorating.
Residents have voted against expansion plans for the Tesla facility, but the vote is non-binding and the ball is ultimately in the court of local authorities. On Friday, police say demonstrators blocked a motorway and interrupted the railway service. They made several arrests and prevented activists from gaining access to the facility.
There are registered protests. We protect the freedom to demonstrate, but we are also responsible for public order and safety. That means we will intervene when necessary.
Tesla had already closed the site for the day due to the demonstration. CEO Elon Musk reacted to the protest, asking why police had let what he called the left-wing protesters off so easily. Tesla's expansion plans involve building a rail freight depot and storage facility, as well as an on-site daycare for employees' children. But that would also mean the felling of 100 hectares of forest near a nature conservation area and 2 lakes. Known as the Gigafactory, the facility currently employs an estimated 12,000 people and makes around 500,000 cars a year.
Some developments still to come with the expansion of that Gigafactory. Have to see if that expansion gets approved. Sir.
Brian, thank you very much. Brian Quinn with Business on France 24.